morning. So we are joined at our first Value My Vote 2020 interview with a 10th District resident, lifelong resident of the 10th District, and a candidate for the Baltimore City Council in that district, Mr. Ray Conaway. Thanks for joining us.
I really appreciate it, Mr. Politics. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem at all. So we'll jump right into it. Like I said, you're a 10th District resident, lifelong. On the website, it was interesting to me, and if you want to check out his website, make sure you go to www.rayconaway.com.
Yes,
Conaway.
That's right.
Not Conway. I know people get that mixed up all the time.
All the time.
It says that, so first and foremost, you were a youth commissioner.
Correct.
Baltimore City Youth Commission. How inspiring was being on that youth commission, and how did that work to transition to you to now to be a candidate for office?
It was my introduction to the real power that lies within local government, the government that people touch and feel every day. And when you talk about touch and feel, that's the pothole, that's the trash not being picked up, that's the rec center that you hope was open so you could go and get some activities out of there. It was an introduction to me to the potential that our city has and all of the great work that is being done in city government, just with a youth perspective on it.
Mm-hmm. So you transitioned from there to Baltimore City Recs and Parks.
Correct.
There you served as the recreational arts instructor.
Right.
In the 10th District.
Yeah.
So your work was always kind of in the 10th District,
Yeah.
where you resided at.
Live, work, and play is what I say. I live,
That's
work,
what
and
you
play.
said.
Yeah.
That's a good saying. You might have to copyright that, but I think that was done before. But I like it. Then you went to Community Law and Action.
Right.
And that's where you're at currently.
Correct.
So how does all of that play into your candidacy in the 10th District?
Yeah, so working at Rec and Parks in Cherry Hill, I worked at the Tapsco Recreation Center, which is a staple in that community. Had been there for 4 decades, really was a place where parents could send their kids and trust that they were going to get some decent activities, some safety, some nurturement, all of that. I was blessed to be able to do that. And not only was it just the recreation piece that I really enjoyed, it was the fact that I got introduced to a lot of the community people who are on the ground doing work there in Cherry Hill. It was my introduction to Safe Streets, all of the fantastic work that they're doing. My first year that I worked at Rec and Parks was the year that it was the introductory year for Safe Streets, and it was the year that Cherry Hill went 1 year without any shootings, which was a huge accomplishment for that community. And so just being really intrigued by the community engagement work that they were doing, I got connected with them and still connected with them to this day. And it was there that I learned about their advocacy, the work that they're doing to make sure that the safe communities of Cherry Hill continue to grow safe, and all the resources that they're looking for. Transitioning to Community Law and Action, the focus of all of this is the fact that I have a very strong passion for our young people. Young people are very, very important to me. And so working in Community Law and Action, I do youth leadership development and advocacy, and being able to work with young people to take the knowledge that I have of city government, whether it's through what I learned in college or the time that I did spend on the youth commission or from the advocacy that I did with Safe Streets, learning that knowledge and transferring it over to our young people so they can take it and use it in their schools, in their communities, to make the difference that they want to see. I really believe that we have to really provide platforms for our young people to have their issues heard, because they live here too. They go to school here, some of them have jobs, so it's important that they have a stake as well.
And I noticed that a part of that Community Law and Action and part of your plan, it was the expansion of youth work.
Correct.
Summer jobs, for those who don't know, for our young leaders. So 2 quick questions on that. If elected to the city council, how would you expand youth works with a limited budget?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, even though it's over a $2 billion
Sure.
budget, we have a lot of things we have to pay for.
Absolutely.
And would that expansion be just for 18 to 24, or would you expand it even further?
Yeah, so your overall question is reaching to employment development, and how do we make our young people career ready, and how do we keep them career sustainable? So the first question, how do we do it? You're right, we've got a city budget where over $2 billion, and what I have really done a lot of research on and I really advocated for is the fact that the council be allowed to have the leverage to have more negotiating powers within the city charter. And so a few months ago, I joined some other city candidates in a letter of support of the charter amendment that was being introduced to the council for voters to vote on in November of next year, that would allow the council to expand that power so they can have more leverage in the budgetary process. And so, where does the money come from? I think we really have to take a really, really deep look at the budget that we have. One thing that I really focus in on is the fact that we have a police department that gets a budget that's $500 million. I'm not satisfied with the results that we've gotten from our police department. So I think that when we come up with investments in other places where we're investing in people and we're investing in the programs that we know work, then we can address crime. Because public safety, sure, that's the sole responsibility of our police department, but Baltimore's a special place, and it's no way that our police department can do it alone. So having that collaboration across the board, where it's MOED, where it's city schools, making sure that our students have the opportunity to those jobs, so that when it comes time to start a career, if that's what they want to do after high school, they've got that under their belt.
Okay. So, piggybacking on the allocation of resources.
Sure.
You're talking about schools.
Sure.
And the allocation of funds for schools.
Yeah.
In Baltimore City, in partnership with the state, of course, we put in money for our schools.
Yeah.
But unlike any other jurisdiction, we put in a very small amount.
Yeah.
Between 11 and usually about 16%
Right.
of our overall budget goes to our schools, which in surrounding jurisdictions of Montgomery County and others, closer to 50% of their
Absolutely.
resources.
You're absolutely right.
Whereas though ours goes to public safety, that large amount. Would that change under your administration, and how?
I'm a proud public school graduate, K to 12. I went to elementary school in my district. Schools are extremely important to me because schools changed my life. So absolutely it will change. I am going to be a fierce advocate both on the local and on the state. When we're talking about the state, and we're talking about fully funding the Kerwin Commission and its findings, and making sure that those investments in school funding are made, so that because when we're investing in young people, we're investing in the future, and that means the future of our city. Those are future homeowners, those are future business owners, those are future teachers who are going to come back and give back to the system that taught them. Absolutely, that will change under my leadership.
So, great question. I mean, great answer, and one that's expected. Question is though, where do you take that money from? If you're going to increase to education, you're going to have to take it from somewhere. And given that we've had 300 plus homicides year after year for the past 5 years, are you going to take from public safety? Where would you get that money to be able to increase in public education?
So I would offer this alternative way of thinking. I would look at it in this lens. You know, we've in the recent months we've had the announcement. I believe it was with either Wells Fargo or Bank of America, who announced the new home ownership package that they're going to offer to Baltimore City residents. Creating a pathway of home ownership to residents of Baltimore, because we know the money that is collected from property taxes is our main source of revenue and allocation towards our public schools. Let's strengthen our home ownership here in the city, so then therefore people can take pride in their neighborhoods, which takes pride in our schools, which helps us increase that revenue that we give to schools. Now, are there going to have to be conversations had where we do talk about reallocating and moving around some dollars? Yes. Yes, we do have a public safety issue where we are knocking on the door of 300 homicides. But I think if we come up with a strategy where we have a heavy focus on prevention, I think we can address that. How do you prevent that? You make sure you educate people to an excellent standard, so people can take the knowledge that they learn. If they choose to go to college, they can go there and be successful, come back, find a decent career, find a home, be a homeowner. If they're looking to do a career track right after high school, making sure they have that experience again under their belt to be employable, so that they're not underemployed or continuing the cycle of unemployment. Really making those human investments, I think, will really have the biggest impact on our city.
Okay. Speaking of impacts on our city and sticking with public safety,
Sure.
No, it's not. We didn't put that in as a sound bite. That's actually police and ambulances riding past the studio.
Yeah.
And of course, this is really too often sound that we hear in our neighborhoods. How are you gonna tackle that in the 10th district?
You know, I really, really want us to address some very in particular things that I think can really help change and shift the paradigm of public safety in our city. Number one, we really have to make sure that we support and fund the community-based programs like Safe Streets that are really producing the results that neighborhoods need. I always use Cherry Hill Safe Streets as the standard bearer because I'm a little biased, but doing work with them over the past 4 or 5 years, I've seen the work, I've seen the on the ground, hands-on work that they're doing, and I've seen the results that it's produced. Not only that, but I think that there has to be a strategy. There has to be a real strategy on addressing the issue of public safety that has a heavy emphasis on prevention. How do we prevent a crime from even happening? And I think that's a community-based approach. And so coming up with those community-based approaches, coming up with the programs that already work instead of seeking out to find new ones. Here's stuff that already works. That's one of the approaches that I want to take. And I want to say that public safety is at the forefront of my mind often. Just yesterday evening, I don't know if anyone caught on to this, but just yesterday evening there was I believe it was a 3-year-old baby who was shot in Brooklyn Homes, which is in my district. When we're at a point where young people are losing their lives, that infuriates me, and I'm pretty sure it infuriates a lot of people. So community-based public health approaches, and also getting a tackle on the issue of one in particular, getting a handle on the issue of guns in our city, illegal guns to be specific.
There are quite a few people running in the 10th Council Madison
Yes.
District. Of course, the incumbent, longtime incumbent, Ed Reisinger, is retiring.
Yes.
So that leads to a lot of individuals who want that seat.
Sure.
If I'm a voter in the 10th District and you're coming to my door and I'm about to go cast my ballot, why should I vote for Ray Conaway over the other candidates who are in the race?
You know, I'm going to come to your door and I'm going to tell you that we have an opportunity to press the launch button on some new leadership that's going to bring in some innovative and creative ideas, some new leadership that's going to be one that you can touch and feel, some new leadership that's going to come to you before you come to them. And that's what I'm offering the people as the 10th District. If I'm blessed to serve as their next council person, when you call, you're going to get an answer, you're going to get a response. Sure, I would like it to be me, but dealing with a district with 20,000+ folks, I'm pretty sure I can't answer 20,000 phone calls or emails. But rest assured, I'm going to make every effort to go there. I never make promises. I always, the only promise that I make is that I'm going to try my best. And I'm always going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to be the council person who's going to put our schools first, who's going to put our safety of our neighborhoods first, and who's going to put our working families first. I firmly believe that when we put our schools, put our neighborhoods, and put our families first, we will really make the change that Baltimore needs.
Speaking of contacts, and if somebody who is listening or watching this program and they want to get in contact with the Conaway campaign and yourself directly, how could they do that?
Absolutely. They can go to my website, www.rayconaway.com. I'm on Instagram @Ray_Conaway. I'm on Twitter @Ray_Conaway, and they can follow us on Facebook, Ray Conaway for 10th District City Council.
Mr. Conaway, thank you so much
Appreciate
for
the
joining
opportunity.
us. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem. I'm sure we'll be seeing you with our live stream Value My Vote debates later on this year and into next year. And of course, thank you for watching and listening to the first Value My Vote 2020 interviews. Ray Conaway, 10th District candidate for Baltimore City Council. I'm Hassan Giordano, aka Mr. Politics. Remember that new promise begins with a new day. Therefore, the promise of tomorrow is greater than that of yesterday.